If you would like a little tip from side control or from top of side control or top of half guard to snag more arm locks, then you're going to want to watch this tip. This is a part, again, of the ongoing basic techniques I use as a black belt, and I'm going to show you my, it's such a small little detail, but it literally like takes a kimura or a straight arm lock or even wrist locks and makes them into much, much higher percentage techniques. I mean, they're already really effective techniques as they are, but again, this is probably one of the best things that I do as far as submissions go, so I'm really excited to share it with you, and so stick around and watch this video. As always, to help me demonstrate these techniques, Mr. Adam Wilson. Let's get started. All right, guys, so if you're at home right now and you're in a situation where you can do this like without like, you know, if you're not driving or something, like just focus on this. But check this out. Take your elbow in. So take your arm, whatever arm you want to, and I want you to take your elbow in right here. So you're trying to pull your elbow as close into your stomach as you can. Now what I want you to do is I want you to move your hand around in any range of motion you can. More than likely, it's very, very limited, okay? Now, put your hand out to your side right here and then move your arm out in any range of motion you can. It's much more free out here than it is here, right? You probably feel very restricted from here. That's going to be really important because I'm going to show you in just a second. So let's talk about this thing. I call it the arm scoop. By the way, shameless plug, I have a course called the Arms Race, which you can look in the links down below. I offer on my website, which goes deeper into this stuff. But let me show you really the key point of this thing. When we get to side control, we'll also talk about using it from half guard. So we'll zoom out here and get Adam into the mix now. So let's talk about setting up a kimura, okay? So a lot of times when people do the kimura, here's a little thing that I notice, and this is what makes a big difference. They'll kind of sit like this and try to set up the kimura, right? Notice that my elbow's here, and I'm trying to grab the wrist. And if you notice his arm's just kind of hanging off to the side, right? Just, again, he's in that more free position that we were just doing, okay? So what I want to do is I want to put him into a really restricted position with his arm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the arm that's hooking his arm, and I'm going to scoop it up. And I like, and again, this is not gi or no gi specific, I try to take my hand and touch the other side of his stomach. Now, Adam, don't move your arm, try to keep it where it is. Notice what we just did. We brought his arm into this position where he's restricted and doesn't have a lot of range of motion. So from here, once I get into this position, Adam, move your arm in any range of motion that you can, whatever you got left. Might be able to get it over here a little bit, here and here. None of that's gonna save him, right? When I'm down here, move your arm around, all kinds of movement, okay? So that's the big thing. This is like, if I could give you one little tip, if you want to be better at kimuras and straight arm locks and wrist locks, like from this position, I'm gonna show you how to do it. That's it, the arm scoop. You've got to be detailed on that because if you do that right, they just come. The kimuras just happen. It's so easy to get to them. The straight arm locks just happen. But a lot of times people just get turned, they get sloppy, they start fumbling around, and they get like this fighting for it. If I get in here like this, I keep my body down, and I'm gonna get more detailed with the position in just a second. It's very easy for me to grab. If his arm's up here, like trying to like hide from me, I can either just wait, or, because eventually it's gonna pop out, or I can turn and look at my toes, get the grip. Same thing here. If he tries to hide his hand from me because I can't grab it, I shoot my shoulder forward, boom. And I can easily get this grip. Notice that my elbow is not on the mat. From here, it's a very easy transition to a straight arm lock or a kimura. Let's look at it from the other side here, because this is important. When I'm doing this position, I'm putting maximum amount of weight on Adam. It's a very uncomfortable position. So you can put the weight wherever you like. Again, this is my personal like ideal on this, right? Down here, you've got these strong muscles, the strong abdominal muscles. Adam is very strong. A lot of you guys have been saying Adam look like he's getting swole recently. He's getting the big biceps. And then from here, you've got the rib cage here, okay? Helps support and gives some support here. Right here in the middle, your rib cage tapers down. You've got this little fist-sized, typically fist-sized spot that's soft, the solar plexus. And it's a little soft area where if I put a lot of pressure there, it makes it very hard for his diaphragm to fully come down and expand open. And it's very hard for him to breathe. And that's where I try to put a lot of my pressure when I'm doing this. So from here, when I'm going into this position, watch my body move. As I'm here in a sort of a chest-to-chest position, I'm gonna slide down just a smidge. And then when I switch my hips here, I'm going here. Now, Couple details. My toes are touching the mat. My knee is barely on the mat. My elbow's not on the mat, and I'm crunching down. I'm actively it's like I'm trying to push my ribs into his solar plexus. It's an awful position, and if you notice, his head pops up to try to crunch and to try to brace against that. Okay, so if you get someone doing that, you know you're doing it the right way. And then from there, we can start to go. Now, those little details that I was just talking about a second ago, if we get here and his arm is hidden on either one of these sides, all you do is look down at your toes and it gets the arm to pop forward, grab the wrist, and then we can go. Now, let's go back here and talk about setting up either a kimura or a straight arm lock or a wrist lock. So I'm gonna let up on Adam a little bit with the pressure so I can talk to you guys. But check this out. So we're here in the position. I a lot of times go for the straight arm lock. It just works really well for me, so I keep going with it. So once I get the grip here, I grab, get the figure four as quickly as possible, and then I bring the arm out. Now, it's important that I switch my hips back and I'm bringing my elbow down to the ground, because if my arm's up, he may be able to bring his knee in between, just like that, yeah, right? And then kind of get in the way, so I wanna bring this down. Now, what ends up happening is I'll start to tug on it, and eventually people start to try to make a run for it with their arm where his elbow, yeah, just like that. Because if he can get that, he can beat me there, okay? So what you'll do is you'll stay slightly loose, and then as soon as it gets, the thumb gets up, bang, we grab. Now we can apply our pressure, and it's a very simple finish. We put our weight down, and it's a flex of the wrist, just like this. Now, some people are a little bit more flexible, so they'll have a little bit more give on it. Some people, this is not the best move for it. If we want to go for a kimura from the arm scoop, okay? So I'm doing the straight arm lock. Notice that his elbow is actually right about here, just inside of the pit of my elbow. If I'm going to go for a kimura, once I grab his wrist, when I'm in this arm scoop, I'll just lower it down a little bit and then scoop it back in. Now I've got that nice bend to where I can finish the kimura, right? So if you want to do the kimura, you have to go just a smidge lower, because I'm hooking right about at his elbow, okay? Go ahead and take your gi off real quick. All right, as they say, sun's out, guns out, letting the guns go. So from here, check this out. I want you guys to see the elbow, because this is important, okay? Notice that that's where his elbow's at. It's just barely there. So this is straight arm lock territory. And then if I want to go for the kimura, I just sort of slide this down and then scoop it back in. Now I've got a bent arm, a little bit deeper on the arm there. Okay, so that's the difference. But notice though, I'm still not placing my elbow on the ground there. I got all my weight on Adam. Now the wrist lock, the only difference to that sucker is basically anytime you do an arm lock where you have control of the back of the elbow, you can do a wrist lock. I'm going to do a basic gooseneck, which basically this is a gooseneck. There's the cow hand, which you can do sometimes, especially if you can put your chest down. But from this position, the cow hand's going to be kind of tough, but the gooseneck is good. Now, not everybody's susceptible to the gooseneck. Some people have very flexible wrists and they can touch their palms or their fingers down to their inside of their arms. So what I do is I get in here like this. Let's say if I'm going for this movement, when I grab kimuras, I keep my grip sort of. This is where I always control wrist grips, even on, it doesn't really matter the position. I grab basically my middle finger and thumb right around where the little bone here in the wrist, right where that is. There's a natural catch where the hand gets bigger and the wrist gets bigger, and there's this little divot here. So I bring my middle finger and thumb and boom, it catches right there, and then everything else locks around it. And it's a nice strong grip. And if you notice, I can almost enclose my fingertips around it, opposed to if I go higher, it's not there, higher, it's not there, right there. It's the thin part of the wrist there. So then when I get this, what's nice about this position, and I don't use, by the way, I don't use thumbs with my kimura finish. I use just a thumbless grip. When this happens, if for any reason his wrist gets a little limp, or if I feel the strength go out of it, I can easily slide down, and there's my wrist lock. I do it all the time. So again, you've got 3 simple submissions. It's all based on, though, that arm scoop. If you do the arm scoop right, those submissions are so easy. And again, and I don't want to say easy, but they happen a lot more effortlessly than if we're doing it from, say, a situation where we're leaving our arm down on the ground. Now, from the half guard, not much changes. We're in a half guard situation. We're here. To get into the arm scoop, I lift, and this is the same for side control. I lift, switch my hips here. We're back in the position, same as before. Look down, get our grip, and then we can either attack the arm and finish it here, like no problem, or a lot of times what this is really good for is if we're playing around with this arm, he gets really focused on the arm lock, pull out, and I still have my arm to attack, and I've got my pass. And so that is the idea. One more time on the arm scoop, just in case I didn't go over it earlier. When we want to get to it, we're in side control. I lift just a little bit, take this hand out, scoop, switch my hips, and then I can start to get the grip there. But that is the arm scoop position. So guys, that is a really simple technique. It's a really simple adjustment to your kimuras, your straight arm locks from side control and half guard. Again, the whole point of doing this series with you guys as of recently has been to show you some really simple stuff that I do that pays off big time. And I can't give you anything easier than that, right? Like basically, we're changing the position of hitting that kimura very slightly so that we put the person into a weaker position with their arm, which makes it easier for us to snag those arm locks. And obviously throughout the video, I've had it, you know, my guy put little bits and pieces of videos where I've snagged these arm locks. It's one of my highest percentage submissions in jiu-jitsu. So again, hopefully this is useful to you if you are a kimura person or an arm lock person and you want to put those to use. And again, wrist locks. I like wrist locks too. I'm a dirty wrist locker. So that's that, guys. So hopefully that helps you. Thanks for watching. I'm finished. Adam.